Hello, boys and girls. It is good to see everybody today. Welcome to Woodspun Round. Um, if you read my description, you'll see that we're going to work with some scraps today. Here's our subject, and it's full. Well, and then I've got extra sound coming through. So there we go. All right. So anyway, got that. This is a bucket I got. I've used some of the wood that the fella gave me, and I've got more of it. But I've got this bucket of scrap. And as wood turners, we've all got quote unquote scrap laying around. Now, I would contend there is no scrap when you're a wood turner. There's either
Mhm.
shavings or there's wood. What we call scrap is it's just little bits of wood that haven't found what they want to be turned into yet. So that's what we're going to work on. I've got some of the usual. I'm missing one.
What happened to Wayne?
Some
Yeah,
of the
I think
usual
he.
reprobates.
That's not what I was going to say. I've got the usual suspects in the background that are going to help us out today. I got Ruby Claire from Canada. I've got Todd Phipps from
Hello.
Texas, and we had Wayne Glasper from over across the pond, but he has kind of disappeared all of a sudden. I think he's checking a mic situation. So we're going to put these guys back in the background again, and I'm going to randomly grab a piece of wood out of this bucket, and we'll just see what we can do with it. I don't know. It might be a small bowl, a box, a finial. We're just going to randomly grab a piece of wood and see what we can do. So while I'm grabbing a piece of wood and getting it on the chuck, or looking at it to figure out, one of these guys is going to read out our chat list here. So go right ahead, one of you.
Ruby, I'll do it. You fill in the blanks where I miss people.
That
So,
sounds like a plan.
yeah. So we have Ronald Todd, Mama Sneaks, Ruby Claire's there. We Val. Roger Wallum says he's not sure how long he can stay. Wurzel the Wood Butcher.
That's Alex.
Yeah, Alex. Paul Norfolk Hunter. Dale Old Man River is there. Let's see. Holland Woodworks.
That's Adam.
Adam, we've determined earlier. Let's see. Gav is there. Did I say we Val already? Maybe I did. Todd at Glen Cove Woodworks is here, right up the road. Hello, Todd. Let's see. Malcolm Douglas is there. Wayne is
He's
there
back.
on the screen. Hello,
I'm
Wayne.
back. I'm back. I don't know if my headphones are working properly, so I've turned the volume of the TV down.
Oh, okay.
We have William Kinney in.
Yes.
Scrolling. Haley Woodenboro.
Let me interrupt you there, Todd, for just a second.
Yeah.
I kind of closed my eyes and grabbed this piece of wood. This kind of looks like maybe some cherry. I'm not sure. The color kind of looks like cherry and the grain as well. But as you can see, it's got some issues. So while Todd continues reading through the chat, I'm going to ponder on this just a minute, and we'll see what we can come up with. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I think I was at Ray Apodaca.
Correct.
And let's see. Eric Winkler. Doug Bennett is in. Dances with Aardvarks is in. Mike.
That's Mike, yes.
Yeah, Tim Ponder. Let's see. Albert Dawson. It refreshed on me. Hello, Al.
Did you get Scott Hampton?
Nope, I sure didn't. I would hate to miss Scott. Hello, Scott. Out there in California. Tim Ponder. I don't know where this thing refreshed to. Michael McEwen is in. Lawrence Aldridge. You see any I missed, Ruby?
I'm still going down.
Yeah,
I think
Gav's in. Gav said he.
Yes, we got him. If by any chance we did miss you, we apologize and we welcome you anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I decided to put this in here in grain, and we will. I say that's in grain. Yeah, it's in grain, and we will get it round and see what kind of develops. All these cracks. Um, it's cracked pretty severe, but I mean nothing moves. It's I don't know. We'll round it out and see what happens. Of course, face shield will be on. Is on. I never did pick up my roughing gouge, so we'll just start with a bowl gouge.
Scott said, "Of course, Todd missed my name."
That's okay, Scott. I didn't let him get far before we brought it up.
It's okay, Scott. Todd told me he was going to do that before we started.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have everybody.
You two lie like a rug, flat out. Dale suggests that you hit it with some CA glue. Possibly after you get around it and get down to
Yeah,
where.
that's kind of what I was thinking. Let's round it out first, and then we'll see what it's going to give us.
My brother Troy had told me he was going to be watching today, but I don't see him in the chat.
I
haven't seen Troy in a while.
I know.
Raise the speed up there a little bit.
I was telling you before you went live that I worked this weekend with Ellie Avacira. His speed at about 6,000-7,000 is about normal for him.
Oh dear me.
I think actually the wood just melts off.
I think the top speed on mine is about 3,500, 4,000 revs, and I've never turned anything that fast.
Well, he managed to find some extra revs on my lathe, and I'd never turned that fast either.
And Troy is in. He's just come in.
Hey, Troy.
We were just talking bad about you.
And Ray
Well,
says
Todd was anyway.
Ray says he's hit a record. He's hit 2 lives in a row.
All
Nice
right.
one, Ray.
Well, now let's be honest. Ray doesn't have a whole lot more to do right now. Ray, I hope you're getting better, bud. All right, we're getting there, getting around there, but it sure has a flat spot there and there. So, which I knew it would take a while to get all of this gone. It's an interesting hole. That looks like a dead limb that fell out at some point. But I think I'm losing some of the cracks, so that might be a good thing.
Larry says he can't wait to try some of his homemade sanding paste.
What'd you put in it there, Lawrence?
And Ray said to you, Doug, that he's turning through you.
I'm sorry, doing what?
He is turning through you.
Okay. Yeah, when you're not able to, that's not a bad way to get your fix.
Gav says you're going to try that on a sandwich or on wood.
I'd suggest you use it on the wood.
Yeah, and whatever you do, don't store it in a peanut butter jar.
You're speaking from experience?
Well, when you get up at 2 in the morning and fix that peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it looks a lot like peanut butter.
Yeah,
So Lawrence has put in white beeswax, one full can of walnut oil, and I can never pronounce that word.
diatomaceous earth.
Earth, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I call it DE powder. It's stuff you put in your swimming pool filters. If you have a
Right.
swimming pool.
I know Glenn when he first produced the Yorkshire Grit, tried all different types of recipes, and he ended up with beeswax, mineral oil, and rotten stone.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt that mixture in my mind is a little more aggressive than what Lawrence just did. But he made it. I didn't make it with walnut oil. I made it with mineral oil when I make mine. I'm
And
I'm I'm curious if that walnut oil, because I don't really keep mine in a sealed jar. If that walnut oil might be curing off a little bit, does it create a little bit of a foam or something, or a film on the top?
I'm not too sure, to tell you the truth.
Jennifer Craft and Creations has joined us. Hi,
Evening,
Jennifer.
Jennifer. How are you doing?
Hey, Jennifer. I just peeled off that little flake that was loose. And y'all talking about getting the speed up. I'm up to 14 now. Got a little further to go to get rid of that.
Are we getting close to the AAW symposium?
I have a feeling we are, but I'm not concerned about it because I think that's going to be during the time I'm going to be in New Zealand and Australia.
Which symposium? AAW?
Yeah.
That's in June, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Did we say hello to Jennifer?
Yes. Well, I certainly
Gosh,
did anyway.
Where you been,
yeah.
Todd?
I don't know. I checked out for a minute, I guess.
And Michael said it's the middle of June for the AAW. Yeah, we've got, I think Emma, the Tiny Turner, is going across for that, and so is Stuart Farini.
Yep.
Yes.
I almost determined I was going to go, and because of Stuart being there, and I just can't do it. I've got too much stuff this summer. Well,
You
I've got
almost
all my.
made that sound like you didn't want to see Stuart.
No, no, no. I do want to see Stuart. Like I said, that's when he had made the announcement that he was going to be there. I had basically determined I was going to go, and I told him so. Um,
Well, apparently you can also sign up for the virtual program
yes,
and
you
then get
can.
recordings later on. But even later on, I'm going to be gone for about a month. So,
Yeah, I may do exactly that. Um, even though when I go, I typically don't pay anything. I go just to see the stuff that's outside. I don't do the insides, the classes and whatnot. And to do the instant gallery and the vendor area, they don't charge anything. That's what I
oh, okay.
typically do. That's what I typically do, and I'm sure I would have seen Stuart out in the vendor area at some point.
He's a nice young man.
Yeah. Um, when it was here in Louisville the last time, I saw all kind of well. In fact, I saw Glenn. He was one of the first people I talked to. Saw and spent a lot of time with Carl Jacobson. Um, oh, Jeff Hornig. Um, A lot of
Now,
folks. Tim Yoder.
Ray is saying that if 5 members of our club attend online, they get a decent discount.
Well, that's good.
Who are the 5?
And Lawrence has given us his formula for making up his paste wax.
There you go. I made my own one time, um, and it worked great. I liked it a lot, but then I started using blends, and I liked it even better. And then I started talking to Tom Ackley, and
And
I
Pete
re-
has joined us. Good
hey
morning,
Pete,
Pete.
I really like my axe at this point. I have no complaints, nothing to be concerned about.
I like our superior grit.
Yeah,
No, I haven't tried that yet.
Well, I have had a chance of helping Rob make it because Rob doesn't live that far from me, about 40 minutes away. And I gave him a whole big box full of beeswax. So,
He's doing his own beeswax now, isn't he?
yes, he has about 7 hives, although he did lose a few over the winter.
I do have some of Rob's stuff because you brought it across for me for Harrogate.
And Pete has just posted a new video that he has out on his site. So you may want to go and check that out.
oh, speaking of,
It's on making a term kiesel.
All right.
speaking of having scraps all over the place and in your way, I can't hardly get to my shelves over here to my left because of all the junk in the way.
Looking at those cracks,
Hmm.
it looks very much like eucalyptus.
Yeah, I don't have a clue what it is really. The fellow I
Well,
got it from, he didn't know.
if it was eucalyptus, you'd be smelling it by now.
Yeah, there's no smell. Doesn't even smell like cherry. But I still think it might be cherry.
Now, what I tend to do is with cracks like that, I take 2-part epoxy that glue that you get at the dollar store,
Hmm.
and I mix it up, and I'll put in a drop of some color of acrylic paint,
Right.
and I'll fill those in. And within 5 minutes, that stuff's dry.
Sure.
You can go ahead and cut through it or sand it down.
All right. That was some Parfix 3408 that I just put in, which is a thin. This is some medium density to help fill a little bit better because these cracks are deep. How deep is it? Real deep.
Lawrence says he would end up going way overboard.
Yeah, because he was talking about. Excuse me. He said he can't order anything. He doesn't use credit or debit cards. He's somewhat autistic and ADHD.
And
And
Heather has
Heather's in.
joined us. Hi, Heather.
Hey, Heather. Started to say a while ago, and I stopped for some reason. But I'm glad to have everybody in today. It's a good day to, at least here, it's a good day to be in and watching
Well,
YouTube or something. And like the discussion I had the other night or the other day with a fella, better to watch YouTube than some of the other garbage that's on television right now.
especially the news.
The news is ridiculous.
Now, Pete is saying you're going to need some boulders to fill those cracks in.
Could be, could be. I got a pretty good bit of glue in there, and put some shavings. I'll put a little more glue, some more shavings. I've found a couple of, if you haven't tried this method, I found a couple of things that happen, at least for me. Somebody may disagree, and that's okay. By using some shavings, one, it helps fill the crack, so you don't use quite so much glue. The other thing is, it helps the glue to settle in and set. Um, Seems to set a lot faster when you grind some shavings into it.
Yeah, that's because you're not. It's not just the glue drying itself; it's actually drying on something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Larry's saying the other day he got some blanks for crochet hooks. I've done a number of those, and that can be fun.
Mm-hmm. I'll put a little more 3406 right on top, just to seal. I can see that accelerator working on that glue. Got just a little piece of white right there.
Yeah, that'll turn
Oh,
out.
there's some more. Now it's growing. That's unusual for 36, 3406, 3408, whatever number this is. It doesn't typically foam.
It must be getting really hot then.
Well, I've got so much glue in there, and it could be foaming up the Star Bond medium. Maybe what's foaming up.
I was thinking that.
Mm-hmm. Instead of 3408. That's one of the selling points of this 34.8. It typically does not foam up. One reason why it's so good to use as like a pin finish for those folks who
Hmm.
like to use glue for your pin finish.
Hmm.
I can hear Mark Beckett now. No.
No, same with me. No.
Typically, I don't. I might use it sometimes as a base, especially when the wood's a little punky. But I don't use it as the finish. But I've seen some beautiful stuff with the 3408. It's thinner, so it soaks into the wood, and then after it's cured, come back and buff it, and it's amazing.
I've never seen anybody have problems with it, like doing that shattered glass look that stick fast will do sometimes and stuff
Right.
like
You
that
don't
either.
you
It's
don't
very
typically get any of this foaming stuff. Um, anyway, back to what I was doing. I'm gonna take the surface of this off to clean it up.
Now Heather has said that she's got a new lathe. They had a professional lathe mover come up for guidance, but husband, two sons did all the heavy work, and now she just needs to get a 220 amp plug in.
Good.
Nice one, Heather.
And
You know,
Alex says the Parafex doesn't smell, which is another good point. And
Absolutely.
Pete says the foaming is down to the large quantity of glue that you have in there.
Yes.
the other thing as well is that when you are putting CA glue into deep cracks, make sure that is dried before you put the next layer on.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you'll get what Doug's doing here and start turning it down, and you go past the dry part and hit a wet part.
splatter. Better have
Yeah.
that face shield on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I go through more face shields in a year than I should because of the CA.
Yeah, and Pete said hopefully Heather needs 220 volts, not 220 amps, because that would spin the workshop.
Yes, 220
And
volt.
MB Woodwork Turning has joined us. Hi, Mark.
All right. And you get glue in your flute of your gouge. That's
Yep, that happens
and
as
on the
well.
outside, and yeah, I can see where the bottom of the glue got to. And I got a little streaking. That's okay. That's okay. That'll all clean up and work out without any problem.
Ray says he had to get a new phone case because he spun CA from a piece all over it.
Mm-hmm. I think it was last week I was talking about my overhead camera, the one you're on right now. I've got droplets of glue on it all over the front of it. And it's from doing this same thing where it was down deep and I got past the dry spot on top and into the wet that was underneath. So far, it hasn't caused any trouble.
I'm just going to put the link in for my live tomorrow, if that's okay, Doug.
Absolutely, yes. Even though I can't be, well, I don't think I can be there.
Pete says that's the problem with lives. In the real world, lots of CA in use makes a good time to go get more coffee.
That's true.
Yes, sir. You're exactly right. I don't know why I'm being quite so fastidious with the surface here, because I'm about to part through that.
Actually, that's a good thing, Doug. All your cuts should be practiced as if they're all finishing cuts.
There is that. Yes, absolutely. I got a little lump right there. We'll just get shed of that. All right, I'm going to give myself a little more room here.
That was something I learned from Eli Avicera the last 2 days was a new way of getting a finishing cut using a skew with the edge vertical as opposed to horizontal.
Uh-huh.
And that was quite interesting.
More of a true shearing cut.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, this is spindle orientation. But I do have these cracks in there, major crack underneath where I didn't get it filled.
Yeah, but you'll be able to later on that. Mike's asking if this is to be a goblet.
No, that's not the intention. I am looking for, there it is.
That's okay, Michael. Michael was just saying he won't be able to watch my live tomorrow because he'll be driving.
Gee, Mike, and I was going to invite you over to help me empty my van.
And Tony Turnswood is in.
Hey, Tony. Good to see you
Saying
today.
he's finally at home during a live stream.
Oh, we're glad you came along.
Slowed down to 1,000 RPMs and using my very narrow parting tool.
Jennifer says she'll be watching tomorrow, Wayne.
Yeah, Jennifer usually does. I'm not too sure if her hubby Mark will be. It all depends if he's working or not.
Babes.
If you're not familiar with Wayne's show, he does it at the same time as Doug's, 2:00 Central in the U.S. What is that? 7 o'clock over there in the UK, Wayne? Is that
8 o'clock?
8 o'clock.
Yeah, 8 o'clock.
And it's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And Jennifer said Mark is working tomorrow. And I'm just having a mess about with paint tomorrow night. Just doing some basic abstract type things using different things. I went out. I couldn't find the pack of balloons I had, so I went out and bought some balloons.
Oh, lost that edge. Do I see? I think I see it. No.
Well, Wayne, Paul says that he'll be watching by proxy as it's club night, but his wife will be watching for him.
Oh, that's nice.
Wow. I found it. Okay, I parted that 80% of the way through and then just twisted it off. And here's the little piece that fell off. That was from that crack. So
I could see that crack filled with some colored epoxy and looking stunning.
You're determined I'm going to use epoxy.
And color. And I thank her for that because I enjoy the color.
Yeah.
We're just subtly trying to encourage you, Doug.
Yeah, I know.
I was going to bring it up when you guys were talking about Emma and Stuart. So they use a lot of color, and I love what they do too.
Oh, absolutely. Huh? That whole thing split as it comes apart in my hand.
Can I ask a dumb question? Why are you gluing that together?
Because it's supposed to be a lid, but I don't think it's going to make it. Don't think it's going to make it. Then again, nah, it's not going to make it. Okay.
Malcolm, I use you can use almost any color with epoxy. Like if you want to use a sparkly color that's got metallic pigments in it or something, you can. Or just straight acrylic paints will work. Like I put one drop on my pad, and then I lay out my 2 rows of the epoxy, mix them together, and then take a little bit of the color and add it to the epoxy till I get the density that I want, and then I apply it to the wood.
All right, Ruby wins.
I didn't know it was a contest.
Ray said he's had good luck with 5-minute 2-part epoxy and mica powder. Yeah, the mica powders work really well with epoxy.
Yes, they do. And Tony says he's been using cheap old pop glitter with his pours, and it gives a cool look.
Yeah.
No, I've never used the JV weld, except for welding pieces of metal together.
Yeah. This is their 5-minute epoxy. Just pour out approximately equal parts. Then we'll mix them together. Put that back where I had it. Of course, I don't have a. Let me grab a popsicle stick real quick.
Yeah,
or a lolly stick.
Every time I go somewhere and they have those wooden stir sticks, when I'm done mixing my tea, I just put those, lick them clean and stick them in my pocket, and they come home and add to my the handful I've got here.
Yeah, that's what I didn't buy the other day.
And
what, coffee?
No, stirring sticks.
Oh, okay.
Pete says as long as you don't need the epoxy to be strong, he's used water-based color to make it pretty, and it still sets up no problem.
What Pete used in color?
Yes.
This is a little bit of chameleon pigment. How would you
And
say that? Aether? Aether?
and Lawrence is asking if anyone's used Pearl X glitter or dyes.
I have.
Yes, I have in like Alumilite resins.
Yeah.
Really enjoy it there.
And you do have a hair dryer or a heat gun to speed this up, don't you, Doug?
Oh yeah.
All right,
Oh
good
yeah.
man.
I was sort of laughing a second ago because Paul said, "Take another lucky dip in the box, Doug." I think
Yeah.
he was giving up on this project, and it doesn't look like we're going to give up here, and maybe we shouldn't because this will be pretty interesting. I think.
Just packing some of this in. It's that is a deep crack. In fact, it goes virtually the whole way through.
Now, Pete has replied to my comment about colour and said he has to. If I don't use colour from time to time, Ruby gives me that look.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Rob Summerlin calls it my teacher's look.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm not looking up, Pete, but I hear that look. I hear that look. I've heard it for the last several weeks.
Isn't that bad, Doug? I can stop.
No, it's not bad at all. I'm kidding, of course. It's all fun. It's all fun.
Yeah, and by the way, I do like the color that you chose to go with that color of wood.
Yeah, I chose it. It was the first one in the package.
So is
I'll
it
have to mix up a
changing
little more.
color on you there when you turn it side to side?
I am not seeing a change right this second. I'm sure it is. Um, this stuff changes more with the. Oh, I'm getting it all the way through. It's coming out. It changes with the when you get the angle of the light to change. So my angles are all the same right this minute. I'm going to dig out just a little more of my epoxy. Should have known I'd need more than I always do. It's either I need a lot more or I need a whole lot less.
And Paul has said, I'm learning from this not to give up, and it's shown what options are available to get past the problem.
Sure.
Now
Yeah.
that is the thing that I like about lives is that the person who is doing the lives sometimes has to really think on the feet and maybe develop a new idea as you're halfway through doing what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. And you know, in real life we do that. We just don't do it quite as fast sometimes. Um,
Well, the
I
other
have,
thing too is you're sharing ideas amongst, in
yeah,
this case, four people,
right,
and we all have different levels of experience.
absolutely. I've said for a long time that as wood turners, that's part of the art of turning is coming up with new solutions to situations that come up because we work with natural materials, and so we're going to have problems. It's just part of the nature of the game.
Now Mike from Dancers has said, "Oh no, I've run out of cheese. There should be an emergency service when a man runs out of cheese." I tell you, it's called forethought, Mike. You buy enough cheese so you always have some.
Alex says that there's called Just Eat or Uber Eats. That'll come to his rescue.
Mike has also said, "Is that CA? How are your eyes not hurting?" No, it's not CA. It's two-part epoxy, Mike.
Yep, yep. 5
And
minute, two-part
it's
epoxy.
yeah, it's a JB Weld brand.
It just
Yeah.
happens to be what they had when I went to get some.
What I like about what Doug's doing here is that this may end up being a throwaway project. It was
Mm.
a nothing piece of wood, but what you do is you can learn about what this effect can have on another piece that you really want to keep, and
Yeah.
so the more experiment you do with saving something, the better you are at it when you maybe really want it.
Yep,
and
you're right.
and that's something that there's a pin turner out there, Bob Blanford. Rob, um, I can't remember what he calls his channel, but I was talking with him at SWAT a
Is
few
that
years ago.
RRB?
Yeah, RB wood turning or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
yeah, and he has all these videos where he's there's a pin blank or something that's messed up, and I just go, man, it's a 50-cent piece of wood there. Chuck it, cut off that tube, glue another tube into something else, and let's go on. He's like, oh no, he goes, this is learn.
RBJ. The Mike's just put in it's
Yeah,
RBJ.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so he's like a master at recovering from something because of all the times he does it when he didn't need to do it, when it was
Right. Right.
a throwaway piece. I really enjoyed that lesson from him when I got it.
Even like Ruby was talking about a while ago, making every cut a practice piece or a practice cut. Um, you think, oh, I'm hogging out wood. Why do I need to do that? Well, because when you get down to time for that final cut, if you haven't practiced, you may not be able to make it.
Yeah.
See if
And
I can do this without getting my hand in it.
Tony has put in that Starbond's new two-part is really good. And if you haven't tried it yet, and wasn't even aware that Starbond was making a two-part now. Thank you for that, Tony.
All right. So much for that little pot. And this we will keep just because. Oh, there we go. It'll get shavings all over it, but that's okay. I'll put this back between centers. No, I'm not. Ho, 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 ho. Oh, I know.
Is this about the time you wish you'd have put a pair of gloves on?
No.
Okay,
We're
because I
fine.
see it all over your left hand.
On my little finger anyway. Yeah. Not a biggie. I'm going to actually change chucks real quick.
Yeah.
So he says.
William Kenny's put in RJB wood turner. If you want to go and have a look.
Really nice guy.
Now, while that's drying, you could either hit it with a heat gun or a hairdryer, or you can put your hand back into the bag and start on something else.
Yeah, and that's not a bad idea. I don't have the chuck I was really wanting. Well, the
And
jaws I was wanting.
Rob from Copper Owl has joined us.
Hey, Copper.
Evening, Rob.
Now's when I wish I had gloves. I just grabbed that right in the middle of that epoxy.
I believe that's called foreshadowing.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
I was going to say he's just a typical man.
Yep. Well, that's true too. Very
Well,
true.
that's good, Doug. We love you just the way you are.
Ronald Todd said the best two-part epoxy that he's found for the money is he's put hobo freight. I don't know if he means harbor freight.
I think he means Harbor Freight.
Hobo freight. That's another term for it. And they used to sell really cheap Chinesium tools. They have gotten so much better in recent years.
Well, I imagine going forward, they're going to be getting fewer Chinese tools.
They, from what I understand, they have a plan. They've got enough tools in the warehouse at this point that they're not worried about that, and they have a plan for future when they do run out of stock. Because none of the ooh, that's not good. The tariffs do not include what's in stock already.
Now, Pete's got a really good tip for you. Don't go resting your fingers with glue on them on anything you can't pick up and carry.
There
Yeah,
you go.
tip of the day that is.
I
Absolutely.
remember one of the first demos I ever saw was in Cincinnati, where glue was used in a demo, and the individual, not mentioning any names, managed to glue her fingers to the lathe.
Oops.
I've heard of that.
Well, now the thing is, was it her lathe?
No.
Oh, well,
No,
you see,
no.
I would have done exactly the same because that means I'd have to take the lathe home.
You would have done it on purpose, wouldn't you?
There is no question anymore about how Scottish you are, Wayne.
I'm going to use a hair dryer, but as always, when we started up, we started away from the piece. Oops.
Now, Larry is asking, how do you protect a project so the smaller jaws don't leave marks from the chuck? Now, usually when Doug is doing something like this, that tenon part is going to be turned off anyway.
Yeah.
But the best way to protect the piece of wood is to have the tenon at exactly the right size for the chuck, so
I,
it doesn't actually leave marks.
Yeah,
right.
what he means is that when you close it all the way up, there won't be any space between the jaws.
Exactly.
And the other way to do it is you can take a plastic ring, say like from a piece of PVC pipe, put a cut in it, and let that go over top of the wood. And then when you close, it's the pipe that closes onto the wood. And if
Yeah,
you can also put tape around the tenon.
yeah, tape, or you could use kitchen roll, um, tissue paper, stuff like this. That works as well.
Now, Todd asked a question a while ago about this powder in the epoxy changing color. I can see both the green and the red right now. I don't think y'all can only see green.
Yep.
There is blue in there as well. It's a pretty nice powder. Still very sticky. I think what we're going to do. I think what we're going to do is punt on this one. I'm not giving up on this piece, but we're going to change out for today. Let this. I'm going to let that cure so that because there's no reason to rush it, no reason at all. Let me grab another piece, and this was just laying on top. I don't know if this was his piece or mine. It doesn't matter, but that's what we're going to put in. Go back to my. Mhm, whatever that thing's called.
Drive center.
Step center.
Yeah, step center. That's what I'm trying to come up with. Yes, it is a drive center, but it's a very specific drive center. And this is what Ruby was talking about. When the jaws are very, very close together, you're getting a perfect circle. Not when they're totally shut. They're slightly squared at that point. But
Yeah, the reason behind that is when the jaws are made, they are machined in one piece, then cut into four.
yep. All right.
So you have got the curve from the saw marks. So if you've got them too close together, it's not a circle. If you've got them too wide apart, it's not a circle. They've got to be with around about a 2 mil um, space between the
Yeah.
jaws.
Right. Yep. So I'm intentionally putting my live center off center of this. You can see I'm not centered at all on this piece of the branch. I'm trying to center more of that crotch area there. I want
If
to come up
if,
with something here.
if I were going to do that, on the right side of the piece, just about at the height of the bottom of the crotch there. I would cut that on the bandsaw and then put my live center in there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as you started to say that, I thought, no, I'm going to change up. I'm not going to do what I've said. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take advantage of this crotch section. It's small, but I'm still going to take advantage of it.
No, I've got to say, that's thinking out of the box.
Well, I love, and it sounds funny, I know, but I love crotch figure.
The truth is, you love living dangerously.
Nah, this isn't dangerous. I've done a
Oh,
lot
yeah?
more dangerous things than this. I like the figure all the feathering and all of that you get with crotch figure.
Oh, I
All right,
agree.
get a little more speed in that. There's 920. We're still nice and solid. What? Okay. Again, taking my corner approach. We've already got to move the tool rest. I'm too far away. This branch is obviously very, very dry. Like I said, this could have been in the stuff he gave me, or it could have been a piece that has fallen into that bucket. I don't know. Scrap.
Well, Ron agrees and says that's a much better approach to dealing with that piece.
Well, my original thought as I stuck it on the lathe was to work my way down and make from the crotch to the headstock into a small vase or bud vase. But then as wide as this crotch is and as solid as it looks, I think this will be a prettier piece.
And
Well,
Brian's just come in. I think it's Brian from the Vineyard Farmhouse.
Yeah. Hey, Brian. Glad to have you with us today.
and as Alex says, playing like this is what makes turning fun.
It
It
really
is.
is.
That's why we all have this addiction.
Right, and every once in a while you get the diamond in the rough that you would have never expected from something like this.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Now, you'll notice my hand is staying behind my tool rest. I can't see these edges necessarily, so I am not taking a chance and letting my hand get across there where that wood will bite me.
That's a good thinking on your part.
I've got this allergy. It's called pain. I don't do well with it. Get a little more speed going here, up to 1200. Allow me to get a little smoother cut, even though we got these big gaps of air. And it will hurt more if I get my fingers on the other side.
Yeah, and Dale is also saying, I hope you've got your face shield on, Doug. Yep, he has.
See, he's
Yes.
not just a pretty face.
I'm smarter than I look.
We never were in doubt about how smart you were, Doug. We knew you're quite bright.
Nah. I used to hate the idea of a face shield, and had to use one because I was demonstrating for an AAW club, and at the time they required it.
They still do.
And yeah, that's for the AAW insurance, which is it's
Yep.
smart. But anyway, I got used to it in that hour or so, and really, when I don't have it on, it makes me nervous. Even wearing safety glasses is not enough for me.
Well, I remember
in your shop.
the first time I turned in Europe, and most of the time they don't wear face shields over there,
Right.
and it just felt strange.
And Jennifer's having to leave.
Jennifer?
She's about to fall asleep.
Oh my.
Dale says you don't want Safety Sue getting after you on Wednesday night.
That too. That too. No, like I said, I am so used to wearing it that I feel weird. Um, even doing demos where, like at Woodcraft, where I'm needing to talk while I'm turning and I need people to hear me. I wear safety glasses, but I can't stand those shavings getting in my mouth and everywhere else.
That's something you find out right away when you do a live demo for the first time. You're in the middle of a cut like this and you go to say something and you fill your mouth with shavings.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and some of that wood just doesn't taste good. I'm going to go a little further. I want to get a little more of this. Don't need it all turned away, but like to get some.
Todd says he even uses his face shield when using the router. I use it with the drill press, table saw. I put the face shield on for everything now. It just feels weird to not have it.
One of the articles I read, which was a true account, just before I started wearing mine, a girl that was a renowned wood turner at the time, a young lady. I say girl, she was a young lady. She was turning at home, wearing her face shield, all of that fun stuff. She's doing everything right. She went to sharpen, and about 45 minutes later, her eye started burning. Just she'd never felt anything like that. So Monday, that was on a Saturday. On Monday, she went to the eye doctor. And they got looking. She had a sliver of metal in her eye where she had been sharpening. It had gone through her face shield, through a pair of safety glasses, and into her eye.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just a little tiny sliver. Apparently, it came at her at a a direct angle. Do it that way. Rink. Must have been spinning and hot while she was grinding, and yeah, they were able to save her eye, but she had to go through a rigmarole to do it.
It's very painful too.
Absolutely.
Ron says that speaking of a diamond in the rust, we may be surprised at the grain pattern in this crotch piece.
I'm hoping so. That was the
Enchanted
intent.
Wood Design said he bought a face shield over 20 years ago and it cost $50. And he hated it until a limb that was in his piece came out and hit where his nose would have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get a couple pieces like that and you learn to love it.
Now, Larry's gone back to talking about the sand and paste. Another way you can, I still can't pronounce that word, is
I'm
Instead
going with
of
diatomaceous.
diatomaceous
Yeah.
earth. It's fossil shell flour and it's food safe.
Okay.
I can't say I've ever heard of fossil shell flour.
I have not either,
Me neither.
but it makes sense.
Where
Now,
where would you get that, Lawrence?
I mean, the only reason I know that Glyn used rotten stone is because in the research he did before he started making it, he talked to quite a few French polishers, and that's what they used.
yes. No. Oh, I just realized this sandpaper is
And
all
it
old.
breaks down. And that's the whole point with the rotten stone. It breaks down as you
Right.
actually sanding.
rotten stone, pumice, diatomaceous earth, all of those break down. There is one issue with diatomaceous earth that most people don't know about, and that is that um, there are two kinds. The insecticide is a very rough, almost cubical cut of the diatomaceous earth, and so it kills the insects by basically cutting them from the inside out. There's another kind that is considered food safe, and either one in our homemade sanding paste will work. But you really, if you want to be food safe, you kind of want to stay away from the insecticide type for that very reason. But rotten stone, pumice are both, they both work. Um, I don't know that I've ever heard of that fossil shell flour, but that sounds like a good one to use.
Yeah, Heather says she got hers at a garden center. Thank you for that.
Ah, very cool. Okay, all my marks are sanding marks now, so go to the next grit. I have slowed down, by the way, to 600. I often go to 500 when I'm here by myself.
Ron Todd
600.
says he got his at Home Depot.
Okay.
Hmm.
I guess in the gardening section, maybe to keep slugs off your plants. I'm guessing, but
Yeah, I
that's what it sounds
usually
like.
take eggshells and crush
Mm-hmm.
those up and put them in the
Right.
garden. Except that I kind of like the snails, so
Yeah.
I quit doing that.
Yeah. Snails and slugs eat your plants, so.
Ah, that's all right. You can't blame them for getting hungry too. Well, last night late when I was coming home from Toronto, I went to drive in my driveway and I had to stop. Now, I'll bet you'll never guess what was walking up my driveway.
A tortoise,
Nope,
a bar.
nope,
A fox.
nope,
No, a mythical moose.
nope. And it wasn't a dragon, unfortunately, or I would have brought it in. No, it was a quite large possum.
Oh,
And they're great because they eat a lot of ticks
yes, they
and
do.
mice. And
That's the
apparently
one good thing about them.
he's living under my deck in the backyard.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
Heather said possum. There's been a few answers, like a moose, a wallaby.
I wouldn't mind if it was a wallaby. I'd invite him in too.
All right. That really needs a little more sanding, but for our purposes, it's sanded.
And Larry said, yes, it's food safe. I can send a picture to me and Ruby. I don't make my own sanding paste. I've got to say, I still use Yorkshire grit. I have got True Grit from Dan Smith at Taylor's Murfield, and I've also got Superior Grit from Rob as well, which Ruby kindly brought across when she was at Harrogate last year.
You've probably got a lifetime supply of
I've
Yorkshire,
probably
don't
got
you?
a lifetime supply of Yorkshire Grit. I've got loads of the stuff.
I thought you
I've
did.
got a lifetime supply of the stuff I made myself, but since I
Yeah.
started doing Easy Wood tools, and they sent me
Right.
the sanding paste,
Yorkshire.
it's just way better than what I had made.
I liked it.
The Yorkshire Grit's way better.
Yeah, I liked it a lot better than what I had made.
Larry just sent me the picture of it, and it
I
says,
think he's probably sent it to me as well. I'll have a look later, Larry. Thank you for that.
and it does say food grade in quite large letters. Thanks very
That's
much,
excellent.
Larry.
That is excellent. Yeah, that's what I like about the axe. Tom Ackley, for those of you who don't know him, he has a number of health issues. And so that's one reason. He had multiple reasons for developing his paste, but one of them was because of the food things. He has to be very careful what he eats. And so, I guess y'all might like me to change cameras, wouldn't you?
That's Todd's
All
fault.
right.
He didn't remind you.
And Zed the zombie woodturner's joined us. Hello, Zed.
Evening, Zed.
Hey, Zed. All right, let the dad jokes begin.
Don't think we've
You,
had any the last couple of weeks, have we? Or
Well,
the
Zed's
last
not
couple
been
of
in, see?
yeah.
Well, I've got one for you. They told me I had type A blood, but it was a typo.
R.
Zed, have you got a premiere later on? If you have, stick the link in.
You know, this is incredible. Every time I turn this computer on, I get an ant pops out and runs across the keyboard.
Oh,
They have to be living in the computer
it's an
because
actual ant.
you don't see them anywhere else. Now I've got pet ants.
That reminds me, have y'all seen the meme that's been on the last day or two? Several women at a construction site, and the caption is "Carpenter ants."
That's a good one.
All right, my arm just hit something and it startled me, so that's why that. Okay.
And Zed has just put his link in for his premiere for later on.
It's a willow bowl that he misidentified as being an oak.
There you go.
Todd says a wise man once said a plain pizza can't be topped.
I
And
told you
Doug,
they
your story, there's a commercial that's playing on TV or whatnot. I don't remember what it's for, insurance or something. People say we bought this house, but now we have a problem. We have ants, and it
Yes.
switches to a lady at the refrigerator. Probably 20 years older than
Yeah.
the people on the couch, and she's going through everything in the refrigerator. Expired, and then it goes to another lady that would be an ant, and then another lady, and it's a nice play on ants.
Yeah.
And
Quite.
Gav says, I was told I was dyslexic and would never be good at poetry. So far, I've made 2 vases and a platter.
Well done. And Zed says that if he won the lottery, he promises that no one around him will be broke. He'll move to a wealthy neighborhood. Well, I changed my iPad's name to Titanic, and it's sinking now.
Enchanted Wood Designs said, I'm not sure if they still use pumice stone to do the high finish on grand pianos.
Yes,
It'll
they
probably
do.
it'll probably be pumice stone, or like I said about French polishing, rotten stone.
If you've never looked up the actual process of French polishing, take the time to look it up and read on that. It's quite interesting.
It's a lot of work, too.
It's a hell of a lot of
Absolutely.
work.
And Zed says, what do you call a hen that can count its eggs? A mathema chicken. I like that one.
Again, more practice cuts for finishing here in a minute. Got my handle as low as I can go over the bed so that I'm kind of up on the bottom of the bowl. That way I can keep my bevel in contact, well, semi in contact. kind of floating it along. Then I roll it down. If you've watched Wayne, you've seen him do that on 1,000 bowls. Open up just a little at the end, get the nub carefully.
I agree with Enchanted Wood Designs. French polish is really nice when done, though.
Oh, it is.
It-
It definitely is.
Absolutely. A lot of hours go into it. Bring out the bowl or the scraper. Got to raise my tool rest just a little bit.
Zed says there's a new action moving coming out. It's called HR. This time it's personal.
That's too funny. Well, that thing sure feels sharp, but it's not. Let me put it on the grinder here real quick. But of course, I got
Well,
to change my.
Alex says he used to restore old valve radios, and some of those had to be French polished. He has no idea if he got it right or not. And yes, I tend to use bottom feeder gouge on that bottom part of the bowl.
Yep, same here.
In fact, if mine is sharp, I'll try that.
And Mike says he feels sorry for the fossil diatoms because I knew them when they were young. You're right, Mike. So did Wayne.
Yeah, and Zed said, "How do you lose 10 pounds eating a piece of cake? You see, you buy it in London. 10 £10 wouldn't even buy you a piece of cake."
Looks like Doug switched to a bottom feeder there.
Yep, he was just showing that.
When he went off to put a new edge on that that scraper, I was thinking that I missed calling Scott Hampton's name earlier, but one of the things that Scott always talks about in his demos is that if you don't think it's cutting well, but you can still feel that edge on that scraper, take a diamond card, knock that little edge off, and put a new one on, so
Yep.
you don't end up with a little double edge there that's not sharp.
And Tony says he just got the Glenn Lucas GL6. Wow, what a game changer.
Is Tony, is that a gouge?
Yes.
It's a gouge.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Glenn's line of bowl gouges. I think we're at a place where we can sand. Yeah. Look at those beautiful fine shapes.
Tony said it's his bottom feeder grind, which we call over here in the UK a traditional grind.
Yes, it's the traditional. It's the original bowl gouge.
It's a 60-degree grind.
Yeah. Drop it down to 50.
Over the years, you end up with a number of bowl gouges with different bevels on all of them.
You do? That's true.
Yeah, my 60-degree there that we were just using is one of my oldest gouge. I think it's my second bowl gouge that it was just too short to sharpen in the jig any longer, so I repurposed it and reground it, and it works great.
That was so long ago, I can't remember my first ones.
Oh, my first one.
I've still got one of my original bowl gouges.
Well, I'm quite sure I likely do too.
Which I do show occasionally on my lives.
Yeah, it's about that long. The first one I ground a flat on. Well, let me just pull this up so you can see it.
You did a very nice job of cutting that, Doug.
You can see there where I've ground a little bit of a flat. My first one, I ground it way back. I was out of flute when I got rid of it.
Well,
Ah,
when I was in France, we were taking the ones that were out of flute, heating them up till they were cherry red, and then making other tools with them.
we're going to say that grid is complete, whether it is or not, because we are.
Ronald Todd has said 1/4 of an inch question mark. I'm not sure what that's about.
Could be the length of the bevel, it could be the width of the tool.
Yeah. That's a good catch.
Tony said the thing he loves about the Glenn Lucas packaged Hamlet tools is the sharpening guide he ships with them. I use my first gouge in his. Oh, sorry. He uses his first gouge in his video still. It still has about 2 inches of flute left. Yeah, I think my original bull gouge has got around about 2 inches of flute left as well. Oh, Ronald's asking the thickness of the bowl, Doug.
Oh, the thickness of the bowl. It's not very.
Looks like about 1/8 of an inch from here.
How about 3/16?
3/16. There you go, right in between.
I think it looks great personally.
Let's just knock some more stuff in the floor. Yeah, 3/16. What was? Oh, that was an Allen wrench. I'll have to find that. 'Cause
Zed says it's a squash thicker than a smidgen.
that's it.
I can tell Zed I'd have enjoyed having you in my classes. You know, I know a guy who's addicted to brake fluid, but he says he can stop anytime.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh my. Just had to cough. Goodness gracious.
Sorry, Doug.
No, no, no. I've been fighting it for about 5 minutes or so. I've got a couple of tool marks that are up on these wings that are being a little stubborn. They're not out yet. But we can go on. We can go on.
Well, you know, if you want us to do more jokes, you can, but jokes about German sausage are the worst.
Yes, they are. That one keeps coming around, doesn't it?
It
Yep.
does.
It's worthy.
Yeah, Todd said 10,000 comedians out of work and this group's trying to be funny.
Well, you know.
Well, I tell you
Last
what, the way Ruby's going tonight, she's going to be taking over from Zed.
Well, the last club demo I did at the end, they all decided I should try out for a comedy special.
All right, get that off of there so I don't know where it is.
A little humor now and again is good for the soul.
Sure. Yes, yes, it is.
I
Now,
got I was just going to say, I got a, this is not a joke, by the way. I got a nice package through from Rob at Klingspor yesterday. some abrasive pads to help clean off rust on various bits that I've got, and
Ah.
also one of the new Klingspor pencils.
Oh, very
Oh
nice.
my, you got a pencil.
Yep.
You're in the club.
Now, Todd says that he believes Zed said in the past a group of mimes attacked him and did unspeakable things. Even Zed found that one funny.
All right. Bring my microphone back out. Let me take that edge off. Where I hit that bark a while ago, it left a bit of roughness.
And Tony says he poured some water over a duck's back yesterday. I don't think he cared.
No, probably not.
And why can't dinosaurs clap their hands?
Don't reach.
Because they're extinct.
Well, that's true. That too.
And why don't cannibals eat clowns? Because they taste funny?
Mmm. 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 Okay. Now let's see. Right here we are.
Zed says, what's the difference between a poorly dressed man on a unicycle and a well-dressed man on a bicycle? Attire.
That's true.
That's funny.
Very, very true. Now,
God, it's been 60 years since I've ridden a unicycle.
for whatever reason, I never could do a unicycle. Had a good friend. He rode his his unicycle to school. It was the craziest thing. He tried to help me, and I could not get it to save my life. It's kind of like laying brick or brick or block, either one. You just got to have a knack for some things, and those are two things I do not have a knack for. Anyway,
Well, fortunately for us, you have a knack for wood turning.
I seem to have figured something out anyway.
You certainly have. That looks lovely.
Get this
Now,
where you can really see it.
Zed said, my wife traumatically ripped the blankets off me last night, but I will recover.
There's that camera locked up again.
It caught you at a good profile there.
There we go. There we go. And now the color's off. Okay, we'll have to fix that again. There we are, folks. Just a nice little bowl. What did that end up being? Roughly 4.5 wide that way, by 3.5 across. I'll get the cameras right here. 3.5 that way, 4.5 that way, and 2 inches tall.
That was great.
there we have
Great
it.
use made out of scrap wood.
There is the crotch figure running right up through there. When I get some more finish on it, it's soaking it in right now. That wood is just so dry. But I'll get some more oil on it so that it has just a little bit of reflection. And that crotch wood, that crotch figure, like I said, it runs right up through there. It's quite nice.
Now,
Wish you
what
could see it
type of
better.
oil did you put on?
Walnut, just walnut oil. It's nice and clear. Simply brings out the natural color of the wood. This is no darker than what the alcohol did.
And how many layers do you think you're going to be putting on?
Honestly, Ruby, probably at least 3.
I'm actually going to go back and sand this a little more on the inside. It's got a, I don't, yeah, you can barely see it there. That
Got
there's
a
a
line that
line,
shows. Yeah.
right? That's a tool line, and it just needs more sanding. So I'll go back and sand it, and then I'll put 3, maybe 4 coats of walnut oil on there.
I think
back
it's going to be really pretty.
Yeah, I'll take the
Yeah.
tinning off, of course, but
Some nice comments coming through as well, Doug.
well, thank you all. I'll probably call that the front side. This is a little lower here, actually a good bit lower here than it is on this low spot. Of course, you can't do it straight across because then you go into this wing. It made for a 3-wing natural edge bowl.
Yeah,
Except
you
for where I
caught
put
that
it.
just right.
It's a
Yeah.
heart-shaped bowl.
Yeah, it's kind of heart shaped if I do it that way. There we go. There you go. Nice little heart shape. with the crotch figure going right through there. It's perfect. So I love it. That'll be a fun little bowl. I'll get lots of comments when I take that to the store one of these days.
Yeah. Zed said it's a candy bowl with a built-in moderation rim.
Perfect. Absolutely. So all that being said, Enchanted, he likes walnut oil. I kept stealing it from yes. Now, let me say this. The walnut oil at the grocery store that's meant for salads, it works for this. However, if
It's
you look
not
on
the
the
same.
can or the bottle, it says must be refrigerated after opening. This never has to be refrigerated. This won't go rancid because the enzymes and proteins have been taken out by the heating and filtering process. The stuff in your that you put on your salads has not been. So just be careful with that. That's all I'm going to say about that. But it does work. It's a good oil to use and works very nicely. So all right, I've let you see about every angle there that there is to see. There's not a lot of angles to look at. It's a tiny little bowl, but just something there again. A piece of scrap normally would have been tossed in the firewood pile because there wasn't enough. There wasn't a big enough area. I guess there was a little bit there down on this end down here. You could have turned a small box, but I think this was a much better use of that little crotch branch than making a little box. Still got plenty of wood in there, that box. Some of it probably will have to be cast before it's truly usable. But we'll just cross that river when we get there. Okay. Anything else we need to talk about?
No, Haley has just said, great live. Thanks, guys. See you all again for my life tomorrow.
All right. Haley, glad to have you with us. Malcolm, good to have you. Troy as well. Copper. I'm just looking at what I can see. Mr. Gold, Michael McEwen, Zed, good to see you. I look forward to seeing that Willow Bowl.
Yep.
Anyway, folks, it's been good. It's been fun. We've been here right at an hour and a half now. So I'm going to cut you all loose, let you enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, as the case may be. And I'm going to get cleaned up. And my wife's been out of town for 3 or 4 days. I'm going to go spend a little time with her. So we'll talk at y'all next week, if not before. All right. And with that, we're going to say good night, everybody.
Night
Night.
night.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Todd, Ruby, Wayne, thank you guys for being here. We'll see you next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
And okay.